The Midday Show with Al-Jahara Al-Suwaidi.
Welcome back to the Midday Show. It is 2:06 here in the studio, and I think it's about time we started our conversation with our special guest here in the studio. So just a reminder, although, she is a veteran here at QBS, she's been here 3 times. This is her 3rd time, actually. So Aaliya Masoodi, she's a certified early years educator, conscious parenting advocate, and founder of FamilyBond in Qatar. She's known for her inspiring work in the country, helping families nurture emotional connections, develop emotional intelligence in children, and build healthier family bonds. Through her Family Bond initiatives, she's been actively advocating for emotional learning, mental well-being, and inclusion within the community, reminding us that mental health begins at home. Today, she's joining us to talk about a deeply important topic, which is how passing generational wounds, how passing generational wounds can affect the mental health of young children, and what we as parents can do to break those cycles for good. So welcome back to the show, Aaliya.
Thank you so much.
It's absolutely a delight to have you back. I'm gonna get straight into it.
Yes.
Can you explain what generational wounds means in the context of parenting and families?
Yes, definitely. See, when we talk about generational wounds, we are really talking about like the emotional pain that's been carried quietly through many decades from one generation to another generation.
Yes.
So these wounds come from parental experiences like emotional neglect, harsh parenting, or even silence around feelings. You don't allow your children to express their feelings. That things that our parents and grandparents they went through it,
right.
And they often, without realizing, they were passing them on to the another generation. So, and the truth is that the hurt that isn't healed gets handed down, right? Yes. So when a parent is constantly anxious, he's constantly angry, his body is stressed, he's easily triggered by her child, emotionally unavailable, the child doesn't just see it, they absorb it. They absorb it. So they learn that love might even mean like walking on the eggshells, or that their feelings are not safe to express.
Right.
Their parents are not a safe place for them to express their emotions. That's why I always say, like, conscious parenting is not about being perfect. It's about being aware. When we start healing ourselves and when we choose to pause, to listen and to respond with empathy instead of reaction,
Right.
that's when we break the cycle, that passing the wound, generational wound. That's how emotional intelligence begins, right inside our homes.
Right.
So it's like breaking this generational wound cycle. It begins with one conscious choice, that is ours.
Yeah,
That
you
is
can
yours.
pass on anything. I recently learned you can pass on claustrophobia.
Yes, absolutely.
That's absolutely insane. So let's say I don't know that. So how do these unhealed wounds show up in our parenting or interactions with children, and how can that impact a child mentally and behaviorally as well?
Yes. See, these unhealed wounds, they often show us in smallest ways, smallest moments, how we react when our child is in meltdown position or having a tantrum, how we discipline them, even how we love them.
Right.
So when if your parent was not available emotionally for you love, so you will be passing the same thing to your child.
Right.
So when a parent has not healed, they start parenting from their pain, not from their presence. So you'll see it when child's emotions trigger an adult because their own feelings were never accepted.
Right.
Yeah. So
and then you hear, parents with so much resentment towards their child.
True,
like,
true.
Oh, when I was your age, I didn't have these nice things.
Yeah.
Like, you're kind of jealous of your child. You bought them that nice thing and you're jealous that they have it.
True,
You know what
true.
I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it shows up. It shows up.
Yeah, it shows up. It definitely shows up. So you'll see it when control replaces connection, and or when silence replaces understanding.
Right.
So we repeat what we haven't resolved. If we grow up feeling unseen, we might overcompromise or become emotionally distant. So it's not intentional, but it's unconscious. Like it's absorbing
Things you
everything.
can't help.
Yeah, you can't help it. So
can't
that's why awareness is very important. That is the moment we recognize. We have to say wait. Like that when we are going to react something, we have to say wait. It's not about my child. It's about me.
Right.
Yeah, I have to look what I'm doing. Is it I'm passing the same pain? I'm repeating my parents' behavior. So we need to have that look at ourselves. So yeah, that's where the transformation begins, not in the child and it begins with the us. So yeah, it has a lot of behavioral issues. You will see the child. If you'll see a child saying after getting hurt from his child that I'm fine. It means they're hiding their feelings. They're not expressing their feelings.
Right.
So they will be getting silence. They will not be expressing their emotions. They will not express their difficulties to the parents because they always feel they're neglected or they're rejected. They don't validate their feelings. So a lot of behavioral issues. The child will feel distant from parents. It's all because of this, emotional suppression that we unintentionally pass on.
Right. Now, real quick, before we take a break, what are some early signs that a child is emotionally affected by patterns passed down from adults?
So early signs is a child will be scared of you. They won't be able to express their emotions. They will always mask. That is very often I have seen in children. They mask. They are not real with their parents. They always pretend what they are not really. So you'll see sometimes they get anxious. There are a lot of physical symptoms also. There are emotional symptoms also. Physically you will see them getting anxious, having some tummy pain. They will feel like the hot flushes. They'll feel confusion. I'm confused. Some feel if they don't have emotional vocabulary, they won't be able to say that also, that I'm confused. So but it will show on their behavior. They'll become restless. They will have tummy ache, headache. I have seen younger kids, very young, 6 or 7 year children complaining of headache. Like, it's so unfortunate because they don't have emotional vocabulary. Actually, they're getting so these are like main important signs.
All right. Aaliya, how can emotional suppression or lack of emotional vocabulary affect a child's mental well-being?
True. It's a very nice question. I always say, like, if a child can name it, they can tame it. It's very important to understand. Because if they are silenced, they carry that emotional confusion into adulthood, and they'll be saying, I'm fine, but they are like breaking inside.
Right.
It's the story of today's generation, for parents in this generation. So see, if you see a boy, for example, a 9-year-old boy saying, I'm fine, okay, after being hurt by parents, after being shamed in a public place or in a family gathering, you saying, are you okay? He says, I'm fine. It means that he's just hiding his emotion, right? So because if you shame any person, a child in the public or in a family gathering, they will feel hurt. They will feel bad. So it's because they are used to hide their emotions, their feelings. How do they feel? So the child was not fine, but he was trained to hide his feelings, and that's what emotional suppression does. And if you see girls who try to turn every hurt into a smile, because they have always heard like good girls don't cry. So if you see teens getting exploded because of anger, so it's not because they are bad, it's because they never had the words to say, I'm scared, I feel rejected, I feel neglected. So when children don't have an emotional vocabulary, definitely pain turns into behavior. And what are those behaviors? Those are anxiety, the withdrawal, aggression, and they don't express, they act out. So that is the thing. What happens?
So other than acting out, what are some other signs that a child may be absorbing stress or fear from their environment?
Yes. See, I have worked with a lot of families. So what I've seen, not only in the changes in the behavior, physical signs also, emotional signs also, social changes also. So like if you talk about behavioral changes, we'll see sudden clinginess, withdrawal, or loss of interest in play. They will like to spend time alone in the room. They will become overly obedient. Like I mentioned, they will mask, masking. So they will overly obedient, or overly they will be always thinking about pleasing their parents. They feel like that will help them.
They become people pleasers.
Exactly.
Yes.
So that's actually a sign of inner insecurity. So in physical signs, you will see they will have stomach aches, as I mentioned, headaches, sleep disturbances. With no medical cause. There will be no medical cause, but they will have nightmares, sleep disturbances. They will not feel sleep at once they go to bed. They will have restlessness, nail biting, skin picking. I have observed these things in kids, or constant fidgeting their bodies, speaking that their words can't. So that's some of the physical signs. And if we talk about emotional signs, they will cry. over small things. The tears will come out. They will cry because they are hurt. Yeah,
me.
Me too. Because they are hurt. They are hurt inside.
And then people think that
you're overly sensitive, or you're creating scene.
Yeah,
yes.
or they'll be like, "Oh, I didn't know that hurt you
yeah.
to that point that you would cry." I'm not crying because I'm upset because of what you said. I'm crying because I'm trying not to kill you. I am so angry to a point that I don't have the words. I just cry. And people are like, "Are you upset?" No, I'm not upset. I'm angry.
True. So they get easily startled or showing excessive worry. They'll be overthinking, worrying, taking responsibility for adult emotions. Sometimes they'll say, "Oh, I'm so sorry, Mama. I made you feel like this. I'm so sorry, Dad. I made you feel like this." So saying things like this, I will make Mama happy. Same people pleasing. And the social change, you will also see difficulty connecting with the peers, or preferring isolation, sudden drop in confidence, or hesitation to express themselves. So when when children internalize the stress around them, they don't talk about it. They become it. So it's you will see that that's why observing a behavior is the first steps towards understanding the the unspoken things.
The whole apologizing for adults' behavior. I always tell my sister, stop apologizing for someone else's behavior, for someone else's feelings.
True.
I'm like, you can say, "I'm sorry that you feel that way," that in a way that's not condescending. You just say, "I'm sorry you feel that way." But for someone to upset you and then you get upset at them and they're upset at that reaction, for you to apologize for being upset that they upset you, I'm like, stop doing that.
Yeah, we have to. It's just all the conditioning.
Hard.
It's the same thing, it's a generation. Things that we have passed. Our moms, grandmoms, our aunts, we have seen them doing this, apologizing for every small thing. So, we do that.
We do it too,
we do it. Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So before we take a break, what are practical steps that parents can take at home to manage their own anxiety before it transfers onto their child?
Yeah, that's very important. I always suggest it to parents, we have to pause. When we recognize, when we feel something, a pattern that from our past generation, we have to pause and we have to notice the emotions before reacting. So, and name what you're feeling. Tell your child, be authentic, be raw. Tell your child, I'm feeling this, so I need to take a pause. And after that, we need to do journaling, write down what we feel, brain dump. So, and we have to be very open to share our emotions with another adult. If not with our child, but with another adult, but don't offload. So, and we have to model calm responses. Children learn how to regulate by watching you. So make intentional choices. When anxiety arises, respond with awareness, not reaction. That's very important. And children mirror our emotional state. So when we regulate ourselves, we give them safety.
Yeah. They are also regulated.
Yes.
Because they're like, okay, mommy and daddy know how to.
Yes.
So I learn from them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So they absorb it.
They do. They really do. Children are sponges like no other. You don't understand. I mean, you do. You're a mother. But children are sponges and they absorb everything.
If a mom is not doing well emotionally, she's anxious, your child will be observing it. And if they have a vocabulary, they'll come and they will talk to you and they will say you. Yeah.
Right. So, Aaliya, I want to ask you, how does FamilyBond help promote emotional wellness among families and children?
Yes, FamilyBond supports emotional wellness in multiple ways. Through I make social media content, I make videos, I make posts where I make sure that I am educating the people about the emotional wellness, the families or the educators, where I share practical tips, insights. So that is through the social media. I try to advocate for emotional intelligence, emotional well-being during early years. And then monthly workshops, we have meetups for children's, FamilyBond Kids Club, FamilyBond Ladies Club, and and parents so that parents to practice emotional skills during those workshops and events, and personal guidance session also, advising sessions also I give to the parents, to families, to address specific challenges. So it's about creating awareness, connection, and safe places for emotional.
Right.
Yeah. So emotion. So our focus is for nurturing those connections, family connections. So and being emotional intelligence is a part of it.
Right, because breaking cycles doesn't mean necessarily like cutting off family members.
No.
I feel like a lot of people have that misconception about family and about breaking cycles and things like that. That like, oh, for you to, break this emotional cycle, you have to cut off your mom, you have to stop talking to your dad, and you have to, your family is bad for you. That's not always the case.
We have to forgive them and we have to heal ourselves.
Yeah, that's what it's about. And I feel like there's a massive misconception around it that I really wanted to break today, because I'm like, no. You can still love your family. You can still live with them. You can still, you know what I'm saying?
But just only we are saying no to the pain.
Right.
To pass on to our children.
Right.
That is it. Otherwise, we love them. We have forgiven them, but we are not going to pass on that pain.
Right. Like it can stop with me.
Yes, it stops with me. That's why I told you it's about conscious choice. That is yours. That no, it finishes here. It ends here. This pain. I'm not going to pass it on to my children.
Okay, so Qatar has made strong efforts in recent years to prioritize mental health, both for adults and children. So, from your perspective, how are local initiatives, schools, and community programs supporting families on this front?
Definitely. Qatar has made remarkable, strides in prioritizing mental health, accessible counseling, and community programs and public awareness campaigns are definitely helping families feel supported. So, but at the same time, what I feel is that I want integrating social learning alongside academics in schools is the next crucial step which Qatar has to take, giving children just not knowledge but the emotional tools to thrive. So that's the thing I am advocating for.
Right. So this is what you want to introduce in schools.
Yes. With academics, we has to give the equal importance to the emotional learning. Emotional learning should, when we have we have laboratories for every science, right? We have laboratories, physics laboratory in schools, we have biology, we have chemistry. Why can't we have emotional laboratories where we give the tools to the kids to thrive, in life,
right.
not survive. So that is important.
I feel like from a parent's perspective, right, like an outsider parent's perspective, I think the first question would come up in regards to this being introduced in schools is like, who would be qualified to teach it?
Yes, definitely we have. Why? Social emotional learning is a subject, behavioral science like these. So we can educate, we can have a different what we call it like teachers, educators who will be specialized in this social and emotional learning. They can educate the children. They can give them. We can have the full on curriculums in the schools which will be focusing on emotional, giving the children the emotional tools. Again, I'll say to thrive, not to survive. So because it's not, grades will not prevent the burnouts. They will not help us to deal with the life skills, to cope with when life gives you a reality check. So what will help us? Emotional intelligence. So that needs to be done before from early years.
Right. So.
And educators, the communities, they should support the emotional health in children. And if you will ask me how, like you mentioned, we will like integrating emotional checkups, in mindfulness routine in daily school life. We have to reach out to these things. We have to teach the children emotional vocabulary along with the academics. We're teaching them the phonics. We are teaching them the writing. We have to teach them emotional vocabulary, help them identify, and express their feelings. So, and also we have to create spaces for sharing reflections and social connections. We have to train teachers in emotional intelligence so they respond to behaviors with empathy. That is the very important. Our educators should be trained to respond to behaviors of children with empathy, not with judgment, not with shame, which happens in schools, unfortunately. So, and we have to encourage the parent-school collaboration where learning emotional skills work best with reinforcement at home. So, academics matter. I'm not saying academics doesn't matter. Academics matter, but emotional safety is the foundation. So that we have to understand. I would again repeat, academics matter, but emotional safety is the foundation.
Okay. So, if we can like put it in like maybe 3 or 5 points, because I want to make it like a point for the listeners to like really understand, because I know what you're trying to say by implementing emotional education within schools and within the curriculum for them to develop those skills and develop those tools very early on in life. So I'm going to ask again, how can educators or communities support emotional health in children alongside academic learning?
Yes. The first important thing, we have to make sure that we have to do the daily emotional check-ins.
Right,
like,
so that's one.
Yes. The mindfulness in daily school routine. Next, we have to train the teachers to respond to the children with empathy instead of shame or judgment. That is very important. We have to train teachers to be emotionally intelligent, how to respond instead of reacting. And then we can also create safe spaces where children can share. We can reflection, social with their peers. So
like a reflection circle.
Yes, definitely reflection
like
circles. And also, most importantly, we have to teach the children emotional vocabulary. Okay, with academics, with the phonics, with the writing, with the addition and subtraction, teaching our early year kids, we have to teach them the emotional vocabulary.
Right.
As I mentioned, name it. If you name it, you can tame it.
Right.
So,
and name it, you can tame it. That doesn't just apply to kids. It applies to adults
grown-ups
as well.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And, I completely agree with the emotional vocabulary because, one can say I'm happy, but happy has so many sub-feelings and subcategories, and like, are you ecstatic? Are you, are you energetic? Are you... So there's so many emotions that, if you ask me now, I can't name from the top of my head because I wasn't taught those things from... You're right.
Yes.
So emotional vocabulary, definitely something that's super important.
Emotional vocabulary only will help us to develop, to build strong, mentally healthy adults. That is important. So once you have emotional vocabulary from your childhood, you can talk about your emotions, how you feel, you recognize the feelings, your emotions, everything. If you're mentally, you want to be mentally sound.
Right. And as we said, Qatar has made strong efforts in recent years to prioritize mental health, both for adults and children. This is just maybe an extra idea for them to push that message along further. So finally, Aaliya, if you could share one message with parents listening today, especially about emotional healing and conscious parenting, what would it be?
Yeah. See, I would say that healing yourself is not a luxury. It is a responsibility. It's a responsibility. Every moment we respond to our children with awareness, it's healing. For me, it's like it's a healing. You're healing. So every time you pause before reacting, you're healing. So these are something, small steps which you can do, but that will help you to heal your inner childhood traumas. And conscious parenting, I always say, is not about perfection. It's about presence.
Acknowledging you're not perfect.
Acknowledging I'm not perfect, and it's about presence. It's about awareness and intention. This is the legacy that will last.
Right.
That is important.
That's absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much for being on the show and being here with us on the midday. We truly appreciate, your message and you being here, especially ahead of October 10th, which is, Mental Health Awareness Day. So it's very important that we had to have this conversation. I really wanted to be the one to do it with you.
Thank you.
So much. Thank you so much for being here and for sharing some of your wisdom